We come from a different place. You're cut from a different cloth. You are different. You're unique. How do we begin to take this to the next level? Let us say, be the change you want to see in the world. Gandhi was absolutely right. We must be the message that we bring. We just can't be messengers. Judge a man not by what he does that he doesn't have to do. And to judge the true quality of a man, it's what he does when nobody's looking. So, great leaders traffic in the unknown. They create the possibilities in the future. Why is it you need to learn and be coached on strategic messaging? Because you're calling forth the invisible. You're casting spells. You're talking about dreams. You're talking about things that don't exist. And you have to speak from a place from within yourself that people will become distracted from. We can't make it. They become distracted from the poverty. They can become distracted from the international meltdown, and they begin to see the possibility. They see it through your eyes. You spoke it, and they embraced it, and they begin to carry themselves accordingly. John F. Kennedy said, in 10 years, we're going to the moon. He didn't say we'd try. He said, we're going to the moon in 10 years. He wasn't an engineer. Computer technology did not exist. No one questioned it. People just lined themselves up. However, when I was a kid, we used to say your chance of doing that as much as a man going to the moon. Can't say that anymore because a leader spoke. When a leader speaks above and beyond E.F. Houghton, when a leader speaks from the ground of their being, and from the calling on their life, this is the time that we're called to become more and to be more. When a leader speaks, things change. Healings takes place. People have hope, and there's hope in the future that gives you power in the present. When a leader speaks, bones begin to start moving. Great leaders engage fear in the unknown and transform that fear into confidence. Fear, false evidence appearing real. Faith, finding answers in the heart. But let me round the past and go to another place. We'll go through this. Let us say together, process. Here's a process that we teach and train those of you. How many of you ready to learn how to become a strategic messenger? Raise your hand, please. Good. Let me tell you what we do. We take you to a process and teach you how to begin to create an achievement, write this down, an achievement-driven culture. An achievement-driven culture. That's why we're here. You brought something in you that was not here before you show up. You're here to produce. That's your purpose, to be productive. Hear my Father glorified that ye bear much fruit. You are here to make a difference. So you got to cultivate the mind. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. As he continues to think, so he remains. We've got to focus on beginning to inoculate and eradicate the mind virus. Let us say together, it's necessary. We can't do it by ourselves. It takes collaboration. One goose can fly 75% in formation with other geese, then it can fly by itself. Look at your friends, look at your relationships, and ask the question, what are my relationships doing to me? Dr. Dennis Kimbrough said, if you're the smartest one in your group, you need to get a new group. We can't do this by ourselves. There's some places and some doors and some things that I can do with you, Dr. Miles, I can't do by myself. Look at your relationships. There are two types of relationships, toxic relationships and nourishing relationships. Look at your relationships and ask the question, what is this relationship doing to me? MIT did a study. You earn within $2,000 to $3,000 of your closest friends. Whoa. Sidney Poitier said, when you go for a walk with someone, something happens without being spoken. He said, either you adjust to their pace or they adjust to your pace. Whose pace have you adjusted to? Ooh. Think about that. Leaders are very selective who they have in their circle. Got to collaborate. Can't do it by yourself. A wealthy man told me once that my mother worked for. We ate the food left over from the food that she had cooked for them. We ate that food, that leftover food. Maybe whatever food's left over after you clean up, you can pack it up and take it home to those children that you have adopted. We wore the hand-me-down clothes of the kids that Mama kept. My mother could bake a sweet potato pie too. My mama could bake a sweet potato pie so good you couldn't eat it with your shoes on. You had to take your shoes off so you could wiggle your toes. And you say, Mama, what is it, boy? When I become a man, I'm going to buy you a big, beautiful home just like this. 10,000 square feet. You know why I was saying that? He used to say, Mrs. Swiderski, Leslie, come in here. Young man, didn't I tell you to dust that off? Yes, sir, I do apologize. Look at the dust, I do apologize, sir. Look at my shoes, I want to see my face. Yes, sir. Look at this ashtray, I do apologize, sir. He was very meticulous. I knew it. What he didn't know, I deliberately didn't clean his room as well as I could, because I wanted to be in the room with him. I heard him say to his son, David said, hi, Dad. How you doing? He said, great. David, I want to tell you something. What is it? When I'm dead and gone, don't forget what I'm about to say. What is it, Dad? You want to be successful like me? Yes, sir. Good. David, number one, watch wealthy people and do what they do. Number two, that's worth writing down. Number two, watch poor people and don't do what they do. Poor people talk about all the negative things that are going on. Wealthy people talk about the possibilities. They know death and life is in the tongue, so they monitor their tongue. Okay? And it says 3, go back to number 1. So every day, Mr. Swiderski, you listen to Paul Harvey and Earl Nightingale and Dr. Norman Vincent Peale. We become what we think about. All of us are self-made, but only the successful will admit it. Always strive to get on top in life because it's the bottom that's overcrowded. In order to be successful, you must be willing to do the things today others won't do in order to have the things tomorrow others won't have. I was shining his shoes, taking all of this in. My brothers and sisters, we're going across the Venetian Causeway to Liberty City in Miami and all those poor areas. They said, look at my car. And I said, Mama, what is it, boy? One day I'm going to buy you a big, beautiful home. Mama, what is it, boy? One day I'm going to be a millionaire. My mind was being programmed. And then I started associating with David, who was wealthy. I wanted to be around David and his wealthy friends, and they would take me to parties and functions and various places they were going, and all the major theaters and operas. And then when they would drive me home in Liberty City, I didn't have a big, beautiful home. So I knew Mrs. Colston, the librarian, had a big, beautiful home in Liberty City. And I said, I live on 52nd Street. Is that right? And 12th Avenue, yes. They drove me to Miss Colston's house, all right? It's 11 o'clock at night. I said, Les, we'll wait till you get in and blank the light. I said, oh, no, I don't want to do that because I don't want to wake my mama up. They said, we'll wait. I said, no, I'm just going to wait around outside. I'm just thinking to myself right now how I'm going to get in the house, sneak in, and don't wake mom up because I'm in trouble because it's so late. I said, y'all go ahead on it because I want to make sure y'all able to get out of Liberty City. This is not a good place for y'all to be right about now. And after they left, I went and caught the jitney and took my butt home. Let me tell you something. You got to fake it till you make it, baby. We were so poor in Overtown in Liberty City, the roaches left, said, we out of here. Y'all ain't got no food. We about to lose our mind up in here, up in here. I used to be so broke, I'd walk past a bank and trip the alarm. Creditors call a house, my children would answer the phone and say, my daddy's not home. He say he not here. And sometimes the creditors would get me and said, hello. And yes, may I speak to Les Brown, please? I'm sorry, but he's not here. You sound like Les Brown. Don't go there, big boy. Oh my God. Oh, I mean, you know, being poor just gave me a headache. It was stressful. You know, when I got money, I don't even need my medication as often. Okay. Now, let us say together, personal responsibility. See, as leaders, the reason that we are thermostats is because most people are volunteer victims. And write this down. The people that you help and the people that you speak to, the reason why you need to be coached and how to speak to them is because they suffer from something that's very prevalent. Write this down. Addictiveness to powerlessness. Write this down. Reggie White said, addicted to powerlessness. See, most people don't have any concept of internal love and internal power. So they're addicted to being powerless. They're coming to ask you to do things that they can do themselves, but because they don't believe in themselves, then write this down. Man's faith in God is measured by his belief in himself. See, according to how you show up in the universe, who you are behind the word, more important than the word itself. Because you go into schools, Oral Roberts, and some of the people you went to school with studied from the same Bible, sat under the same professors. They have a storefront, but look what you've got. What's the difference? You. That's why you have to develop the messenger and the strategic message. Does that make sense? You got to be the message. So it's you. Let us say together, it's hard. Easy is not an option. It's hard. Let us say together, do it hard. Yeah, see, let me hear, here's what the way leaders think. See, here's what thermometers think. Most people think, oh, they want to do things easy. How many of you heard people want to do that? Here's the, write this down. If you do what is easy, your life will be hard. But if you do what is hard, your life will be easy. You see the difference? The people that you lead, they want to follow you. The road to life is straight and narrow, and few there be that find it. Why? Because it's hard. If it were in fact easy, everybody would find it. Is it not hard to be on this road? Is it hard? Raise your hand if you know. Is it hard serving people? A lot of people write this, a lot of people suffering, and some of you in this room. Compassion fatigue. And you came here to be rejuvenated. Because so many problems, limited resources, and many people are not even helping themselves. I was trying to convince a brother to go into a drug program, and he said, no. And she said something to me as I was going down the steps, I'll never forget. She said, most people won't participate in their own rescue. Whoa. Raise your hand. How many know that to be the truth? Most people won't participate. You need to lose some weight. Leave me alone. I'm fine. I'm big boned. I've never seen a fat skeleton. I can stop doing drugs anytime I want to. I can stop smoking anytime I want to. Yeah, right. Why don't you? I don't want to. Yeah, but you're more than a conqueror, huh? Yeah, right. It's worth it. Here's the other question that God asked man that's very important. What are you doing here? Who do you ask that? Elijah, what are you doing here? What are you doing in a cave? You know I'm real. You just did a demonstration. I showed up when you asked me to. Now you're hiding out in a cave, reading the newspaper, talking about the Dow Jones, talking about the stock market, talking about Wall Street, talking about the unemployment, talking about the poverty. What are you doing in this cave talking about all of those negative things? Didn't I tell you I'll never leave you nor forsake you? That's why. What are you doing? Number one, he was doing something he wasn't supposed to do. What are you doing here implies he had to be with him in the cave, not outside the cave. Does that make sense? Now, here's what leaders know. You're not in this by yourself. You're not in this by yourself. That's why you can speak with an authority and see things that other people can't see. Because who goes with you? That's why maybe Ralph Waldo Emerson said, what lies behind us and what lies before us is of small consequence to what lies within us. Maybe that's why Shakespeare said the Fort de Brutus is not in our styles, but in ourselves, that we are underlings. Maybe that's why Elsie Robinson said, things may happen around you and things may happen to you, but the only things that really count are the things that happen in you. The thermostats, guess what? Faith happens in them. The thermometers, fear happens in them. And when you speak, it is dispelled. Write this down. Get grounded. Get grounded. Get grounded. You got to get grounded in tough times. Brace yourself. Get grounded. Write this down. Get in position. When you get back, get in position. Write this down. Get going. You ain't got time to talk. You ain't got time to read the newspaper. You ain't got time to listen to any negative conversation. You ain't got time for that. You ain't got time to talk about the problem. You're too busy creating solutions and writing new chapters and inspiring and giving people hope. When you go back, unemployment will drop. When you go back, business will increase. Ideas will be given birth. When you go back and speak, things are going to change. When you get off the plane, something's going to happen because of your presence. You've been to an international leadership conference, and because of what you experience, and because of who you are and whose you are, things will never be the same again. In the historical context, your country, your community, the planet will never be the same again. Let us say together, it's done. I want you to think about your community. I want you to think about the problems. I want you to think about the hopelessness. I want you to think about the fear. Every time he was about to perform a miracle, and said, Father, I give thanks. Let us say together gratitude. We must have that kind of spirit of gratitude. You do what you can do, and God will do what you can't do. It is done. You're crazy. I know. I know. You're out of your mind. Absolutely. Gotta be out of your mind to see what I see, and think what I think, and speak what I speak. Because